Hello students. So previously we have done four parts in sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So this is the last part and it contains fruit, seed and polyembryony. So first of all, coming to definition of seed. So what is a seed? So as you have already known that seed is a fertilized ovule. So based on the basic structure, seeds can be divided into three parts or four parts. That is seed coat, that is the hard outer covering of the seed, then radicle, it is the root tip which further forms root system, then plumule is a shoot tip which later gives rise to shoot system, and then there are cotyledons means seed leaves. So here plumule and radicle, they are also known as embryonal axis or embryo axis. So based on the number of cotyledons, there are two types of seeds, that is dicotyledonous dicot seeds and monocotyledonous or monocot seeds. In dicot seeds, as from the name it suggests, they have two cotyledons, and in monocots only single cotyledon. So what is the pattern of change in the seed? So this is a dicotyledonous seed. So we have a seed coat. So for during germination, first of all, radicle, it comes out from the seed, then hypocotyle elongates and then it pushes the cotyledons from the through the surface of soil, which leads to formation of first leaves. That means the dicotyledons, the two cotyledons, they form the first leaves of the plant, and then comes the foliage leaves. Whereas in case of monocot, plumule and radicle, they both emerges at the same time, and the cotyledon, it remains suspended in the soil. So plumule, it forms, or coleoptile, it forms epicotyle or first leaves, whereas radicle, it forms root system. So coming to structure of monocotyledonous seed. So monocot seeds, as you have already known, they have only a one cotyledon. So there is only one outer layering of the seed coat. So it has the following parts, that is, first is seed coat. Seed coat means the outer covering of, for example, this is a structure of a monocotyledonous or maize seed. So there is outer covering, that is seed coat. So in some cereals like maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. So sometimes it is fused with the fruit wall. And second is endosperm. So endosperm is the main part or bulkiest part which stores food. So the most of the monocotyledonous seeds, they are endospermic, but there are rare examples like orchids which are non-endospermic. Another is aileron layer. So aileron layer, it is the outer covering of endosperm. So this is aileron layer. You can see this is the outer covering of endosperm which separates the embryo from endosperm. Another is embryo. So it is a small distinct part situated at the one end of the endosperm or the seed. So this is a embryo. Then there is scutellum. Scutellum is a one large and shield-shaped cotyledon. So this is the cotyledon of monocot seed. Then there is embryonal axis, that is plumule and radicle at the two ends. Then there is coleoptile and coleorhiza. So the plumule and radicle, they are enclosed in sheaths. So radicle is enclosed in a sheath known as coleorhiza. Plumule is enclosed in a sheath known as coleoptile. So this is the overall structure of a monocot seed. Now coming to structure of dicot seed. So dicot seed has two cotyledons. So it has following parts like seed coat, that is basic, that its outer covering is called seed coat. Then it has a hilum. It is a scar on the seed coat through which developing seed was attached to the fruit. So this seed, it comes from out from a fruit. So this is the part from where it is attached with the fruit or plant. Then there is micropyle. It is the small pore present above the hilum. So this is the micropyle or micropyle. Then there is embryo, which consists of embryonal axis and two cotyledons. So this is embryonal axis and these are cotyledons, one front and one at its back. Then there is radicle and plumule. Radicle and this is plumule. So they are present at the ends of embryonal axis. So this is on first end, this is on another end. Then there is endosperm. So most of the time the endosperm, it is absent in case of dicots. But so most of the seeds, they are known as non-endospermous. For example, like plants in such as bean, gram and pea, the endosperm is not present in the mature seed. So they are known as endospermous. On the other hand, in case of monocots, endosperm is present. So the cotyledons of embryo, there are simple structures, generally thick and swollen due to storage of food reserves. So as you must have seen legumes like pea, gram, seeds. So the cotyledons, they are thick and swollen parts due to storage of food. So they can be non-albuminous or albuminous. So non-albuminous seeds, they are the seeds which have no residual endosperm, means no endosperm is present in those seeds. So for example, pea, groundnut, all the legumes. So the endosperm, it was completely consumed during embryo development. On the other hand, there are albuminous seeds in which retain a part of endosperm. For example, wheat, maize, barley, castor, sunflower. So like wheat and maize, they are monocots, so they contain a part of endosperm. Then there is a term called perisperm. So in some seeds there is remnants of nucellus which are also persistent, like black pepper and beet. Let's take an example. So this is a structure of bean and wheat. Bean and wheat. So here we have two cotyledons and there is no endosperm present in this. So this is a non-albuminous seed. Whereas on the other hand, in case of wheat, there is endosperm present. So this is a albuminous seed. So most of the dicots, they are non-albuminous seeds, whereas most of the monocots, they are albuminous seeds. Then there is a term called perisperm. So perisperm is the remnant of nucellus, which is present in the seed itself. For example, black pepper. So the residual persistent nucellus, it is known as perisperm. So let's take example of black pepper. So this is the germinating seed of a black pepper. So this part, this is the perisperm, means we cannot say that this is a endosperm. So this is the perisperm part, means it is the nucellar part which remains in the seed. So these are the cotyledons in the black pepper. These are two cotyledons, and this is the embryonal axis. So in between there is perisperm, that is nucellus. This is not endosperm, this is nucellus, comes from mother part or female part. So this is known as perisperm. So then coming to development. So as the seed matures, its water content is reduced and its general metabolic activity becomes slowed down or gets slowed down. So the embryo may enter a state of inactivity known as dormancy. So when its metabolic activity is low or slows down, so it enters in the state of inactivity known as dormancy. And whenever favorable conditions they come or available, the seeds started to germinate. So coming to development of fruit. So as you have already known that fruit, it comes from ovary, means fertilized or mature ovary forms fruit, and the ovules, fertilized ovules, they form seeds. So the wall of the ovary develops into the wall of fruit known as pericarp. So this is the wall of the ovary. It forms the wall of the fruit known as pericarp. So there are two types of fruits, may be fleshy, for example guava, orange, mango, or may be dry, as in case of groundnut, mustard, etc. So let's take example. So this is fleshy fruit like orange. So it is a fleshy fruit and it contains seeds in between. Whereas this is a dry fruit, it contains a just covering and these are the seeds. So there are two types of seeds, fruits, fleshy fruits and dry fruits. So now coming to false fruits. So there are many plants, like in most of the plants, that by the time the fruit develops from the ovary, other floral plants degenerate and fall off. So in most of the plants, the fruit, it forms from fertilized ovary, like ovary, it turns into fruit. So the plants in which ovary is turned into fruit, they are known as true fruits, which develop from the ovary. Whereas there are some false fruits. So in some plants, the thalamus means, for let's take example of a apple. So in this, the ovary is enclosed by a receptacle known as thalamus. So in case of apple, the apple fruit, this one, it forms from this thalamus. This thalamus enlarges and totally enclose the ovules and ovary and becomes fleshy. So here we have this part. This is the ovary. In between these lines, this is the ovary part, the seeds are the ovule part, and this is the thalamus part, or this one, swollen receptacle. So these types of fruits, they are known as false fruits. So then we have parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis is the process by which fruits are developed without fertilization. Such fruits, they are known as parthenocarpic fruits, and the phenomenon by which the fruits are developed, it is known as parthenocarpy. Example is banana. So if they are fertilized, they form seeds. If they are parthenocarpic fruits, then no seeds are formed. So here an example of this is a true fruit or fruit developed by fertilization, and this is a fruit which is developed without fertilization. So therefore no seeds are present in parthenocarpic fruit. So this is the normal fruit developed after fertilization. This is a parthenocarpic fruit developed without fertilization. So these fruits, these are known as parthenocarpic fruits, and the process by which they are formed without fertilization is known as parthenocarpy. And the best example is banana. So now coming to advantages of seeds. So seeds, what is the main advantage of seed? Like why they are formed? So they provide protective coat to the developing embryo, so that whenever it finds a nice place in soil, it can germinate. They form a protective structure which lets the embryo survive for longer periods of time before it germinates. So they protect the embryo for their survival. So the seeds, they can remain dormant until conditions are suitable for the embryo to begin growing. So they remain dormant, means they can remain for longer times than the main plant. So they also contain food sources pre-packaged for plant embryos to provide an embryo's need in early growth. So they contain cotyledons as food sources. Then seeds are easily dispersed by animals, winds, birds, etc. As plants are immobile organisms, so they cannot move from one place to another, but they can disperse through their seeds, which can be dispersed by the help of with the help of wind, by animals, by water, by bursting, or by human beings. So some are even so lightweight, like in case of wind dispersal, they are so lightweight that they can be carried across the planet by strong winds. Like these seeds, dandelion or milkweeds, they are so lightweight that they can travel to longer distances. So seeds can survive without water. So if there is a drought, the plants can survive. So some plants, they develop seeds during drought conditions. So plants, they die off, but their seeds survive without water. So seeds are produced in large numbers, so plants can multiply. So then coming to another term, that is apomixis. Apomixis is a special mode of reproduction. It is also known as agamospermy. So it is a modified form of reproduction in which seeds are formed without fusion of gametes. So it includes process whereby a diploid cell of nucellus develops into an embryo, giving a diploid seed with the genetic constitution identical to parent. So in this case, no fertilization, like no fusion of gametes is there, and the seeds, they are formed from a mother plant or a single parent. Like their diploid cells of nucellus, like nucellus tissues, they form an embryo. So the diploid seed, it has the genetic constitution that is equal to parent. So this is kind of a asexual reproduction. So it is helpful in the production of hybrid seeds. So there are several types of this, like diplospory. So in diplospory, there are the unreduced embryo sacs. They are derived from megaspore mother cell, like megaspore mother cell formed, and there is no meiosis, means there is no meiotic division. So megaspore mother cell, it is a diploid cell. It then further grows by mitotic divisions and give rise to a fruit or seeds. Then there is term apospory. So in case of apospory, the nucellar cells, they give rise to an apomictic embryo sac, also known as aposporous initial. Means the diploid cells covering the megaspore cells or megasporocyte, they differentiate and form ameiotic megasporocyte, which then further forms to apomictic embryo sac. Then there is adventitious embryony. In this process, embryos, they initiate parthenogenetically outside of the embryo sac structure. So it is the most commonly initiated later in ovule development from nucellar and integumentary tissues. So this adventitious embryonic, it starts from nucellar or integumentary tissues, like outside of embryo sac. Then coming to polyembryony, so the production of two or more than two embryos from a single seed, like you have seen, it is a single seed, but there are two embryos or two plants, germinating plants. And here in this case, there is a single seed, but there are three plants. So the production of two or more than two embryos from a single seed is termed as polyembryony. So it is caused due to fertilization of one or more than one embryonic sac, or due to origin of embryos outside of the embryonic sac. So these plants may be, this one fertilized and is developed from true embryo sac, and this one may be developed from nucellar embryo sac or apomictic embryo sac. So there are several terms for these. So it can be caused due to fertilization of more than one embryo, like two embryo sacs they are fertilized, or one embryo it originates outside of embryo sac. So this is a natural phenomenon. It was discovered in the year 1719 by Anton van Leeuwenhoek in citrus plants. So in citrus plants, the polyembryony is very common. So that's all for today. So thank you very much.